Over the top with Chad and Tony, talking about movies and wrestling. Hot mic chance joins the team, hating on me, Gene. BJ the DJ keeps the party going. Brandon E brings the heat. We don't know how to speak. Running wild on you, brother. We're over the top. Rocking it back to the vintage scene. Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central. With epic thumbnails from the Vince. It's a must-see. Gonna bring you the best. Legends you remember from the ring and silver screen. We're over the top. Get ready for a good time.
Bow! What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Chad Arms, a.k.a. Chetty Bobby. 11:30.
And you're not fired.
My name's Friday the 14th.
Follow that. Chad.
Follow
I
that.
can't. I can't follow that. I'm Hot Mike Chance.
A little delay there, but it's all right.
Here to get it.
And I talk, well, when his voice started talking like that, because he couldn't reach his voice no more like that. So he talks like that on the podcast. I mean, the Netflix special. I'm Brandon Eugene.
Oh, Mr. Grizzly voice. He sounds like he's got that booger throat.
Dude, he is definitely a member of the booger throat Indian tribe.
Yes, exactly.
He's also a member of the Ronald Reagan family because some bitch looks just like Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, he does.
Nowadays, he looks like Juan Pablo McMahon with that little thin mustache.
He still has that?
I think.
There's
who
no
knows?
way. There's no
Vincent
way. That
Price.
looks like. What was the game? Episode 82, by the way.
Yeah, we're here.
Over the top with Chad, Tony, Chance, Brandon E, BJ the DJ, the Viz, everybody.
Yeah.
Squint
Bingo.
Smell, all the guests.
All
man.
these
Yes.
wrestlers.
Everybody. Shout out to the Trouble Spirits. Shout out to Revolution One Media, and shout out to all the wrestlers. Let's get right into this.
Yes, we're talking the Vince McMahon Netflix documentary.
It's called Mr. McMahon.
Mr.
right?
McMahon.
Yeah.
Yep. Done by the same people who done Tiger King.
Yeah, we were going to originally just do the first 3 episodes, but since we've all seen the full series, we were like,
Yeah.
well, why split it up?
Yeah.
It's already been talked to death, like Brandon was saying off camera. So
Yeah,
We don't want to get behind on keeping y'all informed because
Yeah.
it has been talked about a lot, so we want to
Befo-
put our little spin
Before we
on
get
it as
too
well.
far,
So.
Yeah.
before we get too far into this, I have a gripe about Netflix and how they do their documentaries.
okay, let's hear it.
Let's hear it.
Look at your camera. Though.
I like more of a linear documentary, and Netflix, you're messing everything up. You start with one thing, and then you jump on to something else, and then you come back to what you were talking about 5 minutes before. And for someone like me, it's hard to keep up with.
Yep.
You did it with the Steve McNair documentary, and you done it with this one. So please, can we just stay with one subject, finish it up, and move on to the next? It was very hard for us to watch. My wife got confused, and then I had to stop and explain everything. Wait, I thought Hulk Hogan already left the WWE. Nope, he didn't. He's back. So, hey, get it right, Netflix.
I'm here for it.
Hey,
Whoa,
y'all.
I love it.
Hey,
That's an extra
that's-
hot mic.
Yeah.
that's
Chance
the
right there.
bottom line. Because Hot Mike said so. Damn it.
And we
Yes.
live in the South, so they say hot mic.
Yeah.
Hot Mike.
I agree with you. Though.
That's it. Look,
Yeah.
it works
jumping around.
great in Quentin Tarantino films.
Yeah.
But those are movies.
Yes.
In I agree with you on the documentary thing.
Hey, they need to at least turn it black and white or something so we know they're going back. Like,
And
do
and
some-
obviously for
Yeah.
us, we're so ingrained in the wrestling
Yeah.
world that we knew what was happening.
For sure.
Yep.
Exactly.
But
It
it's
was-
still
Casual
annoying.
listener, they don't
No,
know.
bro.
It's very comparable to the Steve McNair documentary,
Which I haven't watched. I gotta watch that.
But
Likewise.
you
I
don't
gotta
really
watch that
have to watch it because it doesn't give us anything we didn't know already in it. There's,
one. Oh, okay.
It gives us everything, especially being now outsiders outside of the
Yeah.
Nashville bubble and
Yeah.
everything. That
We already knew.
yeah, it gives them an idea of what was going on and everything, but it's nothing us locals didn't already know.
I remember the day that it happened. We were on the way to Brandon's house for a 4th of July cookout.
Yeah,
Never
yeah.
forget it.
We were in the car together.
past the freaking crime scene.
What year was that?
Oh, 09.
09?
Yeah,
Yeah, we passed it. Like I lived the street over from it.
that's yeah,
Yeah, that was apartments right off First and Chestnut.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was when because I remember we were in the car. Or I was on the
We
way.
stopped and got gas at the gas station by the Titan Stadium, and as I'm pumping gas, they say Steve McNair got shot, and I was like, "What?" And then get to the house,
everything's
look on the
blocked
news
off.
and then seeing that crime scene, I was like, so that's what I passed.
Yep.
So that was it's wild.
It was
That's crazy,
insane,
bro.
Yeah, he was a big at Piranha's right there on Second
Yeah.
Avenue. We put a shuffleboard
Piranhas.
in upstairs just for Steve McNair.
Wasn't that Pittsburgh?
Fun fact.
Yeah, it, like
Inspired bar,
yeah, it had like Pittsburgh style sandwiches there and everything.
Yep.
But
Throwback.
Yeah, we put a shuffleboard upstairs just for Steve McNair because he was
R.I.P. to the GOAT, bro.
yeah he was
Oh, yeah.
dude
For
toughest one of the toughest
All-time favorite quarterback.
I think he
for
is
sure.
the toughest.
Yeah, I mean. Insane.
If they bend their pinky finger back today, they're out for 6 weeks, and they ask the referees to throw a flag, and they crybabies.
Yeah,
NFL just needs to go ahead and make it flag football.
They're
league,
almost there.
Him and
We're-
Eddie
we're almost
George. Him and Eddie George had more turf toe than anybody though.
Yeah, it was actually taking hits back in the day.
R.I.P. Frank Wycheck, same way.
Yeah.
Man,
He's-
Frank was he's probably one of my favorite Titans of all time.
He's definitely one of my favorites. Yeah.
And I loved his career after the Titans through 104.5.
Oh, he was
Absolutely.
a
Him
great
and Mark
announcer.
Howard, dude.
He was a
Absolutely.
great announcer. Yeah.
Yeah, and Kevin Ingram, the morning show when Frank, Mark, and Kevin Ingram had it was gold. When they changed that lineup, that's when I stopped listening to morning sports talk radio.
Facts.
But no, that's not what we're talking about. We are
No,
talking
we're-
about.
we
We're
know
talking
we're gonna veer
about
off
someone
it,
who
yeah.
wasn't a great announcer, Vince McMahon.
That's
Yeah.
maybe the only thing he was good at. Well,
Let's not. We gotta. I know that. Well, go ahead. You say what you want to say.
I'll only
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
the promoter side of Vince. Can you say he's probably one of the greatest promoters in wrestling history?
He's the greatest
Yes.
promoter.
Yeah, it's not even close.
Yeah.
It's not even close with that.
Yeah.
But as far as the details on the docuseries, if you haven't watched it, go to Netflix. It's on
Yeah.
Netflix. It's
6 episodes.
6 episodes. They're about an hour a piece. So it's about a 6-hour, series total. He said it's done by the same people that did
Tiger
King,
King.
Yeah.
which I did watch that. That got us through everybody through the pandemic.
Oh yeah.
But the first episode,
Bill Simmons is his name, by the way.
Bill Simmons, yes.
Yeah.
Does he do a lot of stuff for ESPN too?
Yeah,
He used to.
Okay.
He
He used to.
basketball.
Yeah, for the
On the
Celtics. He's a
basketball
big
side?
Celtics fan.
Yeah,
And I
okay.
go, y'all hear me say this every week. I listen to his podcast too.
Yeah,
I listen
yeah.
to so many podcasts
Yeah.
by listening. But he's pretty legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did the Andre the Giant documentary as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first episode is called Junior, right? So I guess we'll just we'll break down each episode and kind of just our thoughts and stuff.
Well, pretty much. It's the first episode starts off with in modern time talking about the scandal going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
Because they got to grab you in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You
Because
get-
that's why everybody's clicking on it. That's why we watched. I mean, we were smart enough to know it's not going to have a lot about that, but the average person probably clicked on it just for that.
I'm
You know?
going to be honest. I was anticipating Netflix to throw the gauntlet at Vince McMahon with it. I was hoping. I don't know if hoping's the right word, but I was anticipating getting more out of the documentary as a wrestling fan. Because now, as a common person that doesn't follow wrestling and everything, this documentary will be amazing to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty much a documentary on how the WWE became a powerhouse and took over the wrestling
unfortunate
industry.
part is I do listen to Bill Simmons, and he had like a reaction part himself, and there was over 10 hours left of unaired footage, and they say one of the problems is Vince McMahon's voice is so weak they couldn't air some of it because you literally can't understand what he's saying. There's
Okay.
10 hours
That's
of footage uncut.
They just can't hear the audio.
His voice is so weak on some of
Or
it.
he's doing that shit on
Or
purpose.
he's deflecting answers too, they say.
Which
Yeah.
we'll get into that too, I'm sure. But
So let's start. Dude,
yeah,
do your damn thing, my
do your
friend.
thing, Bubba.
Well, like I said, it started out with with them talking about the scandal, but then it goes into him talking about his dad, him talking about abuse that he experienced with his stepdad,
Yeah.
and rumors. I don't think they didn't talk about the rumors about his mom, but there's been
No,
rumors about
there's a
They
play-
touch
mom
on
and stuff.
no pun intended.
Did
They
it?
touch on it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't even know about his parents. That's
Yep.
the one thing I didn't know because in the McMahon documentaries I've watched back in the day, they don't talk about any of that.
Yep.
Well, evidently, there's that Playboy magazine interview
He
that
talks about
gets
it.
big into his young life and all. Which I didn't. I learned something new with it too. I didn't realize that he didn't come into Vince Senior's life until he was 12 years old.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, I didn't
and they
know
never
that.
touched on why.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wonder if it was a thing where he went out to get milk and didn't come back, or what happened.
Yeah.
Until
Yeah,
later.
he's such a saint.
Right.
to the common person, even in like forever wrestling fans. But I don't really. Yeah, they don't mention.
Well, they don't
Matt-
mention
Matt
of how he
Senior?
comes
Yeah.
back really into Vince Senior's. Like he's like, okay, I showed up and hey,
Yeah.
Dad, I'm here.
I mean,
Yeah.
he was a traveling promoter, so it could have been a
Yeah.
one night stand
Even though
type
you
thing.
didn't
or-
travel
Yeah.
really outside of a
Right.
certain territory
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
then, so that's a
Yeah.
little it's
Yeah.
suspect.
Sound like he had a side family. That's what it
For
sounded
sure.
like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And- But
Yeah.
but go ahead, Chance.
But then he ends up, after he meets back up with his dad, going and living with his dad, then he starts working in the company, and his dad sends him to Maine to kind of get his feet wet in the business,
Yep.
and he does a great job there. And then Vince kind of gets to the point, I guess, to where he's wanting to do more with the company. Him and his dad are kind of butting heads.
Yeah.
And then he ends up buying the company, him and Linda, with
Yeah.
the money that the company would have made, which as a business person, I gotta appreciate that.
Oh yeah.
You gotta
Um,
gamble,
you know,
man.
yeah.
You gotta take
You gotta
risks.
take, which and I didn't realize that Vince Senior had it set up for Gorilla Monsoon to take
Yeah.
over everything.
Well,
Never
and,
did
Yeah.
that.
and even
Yeah,
before
that was-
before in that episode before that even happened, Vince gets thrown into announcing because
Yep.
somebody held up Senior
Yeah.
about wanting more money, kind of like the Ultimate Warrior did
Exactly.
years later.
And-
So, and then Vince's dad said, "Vince, you're announcing."
Yep.
And then
And
they
just-
played some clips of his first time announcing. So that's kind of how he got thrown into it, I guess, from the commentator side, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like I said, with the whole Gorilla Monsoon thing, and then he with that deal that he did with his dad, if he missed a payment, the Vince Senior would take it back over and
Oh, yeah, I
keep all
forgot.
the money
Mhm.
that was already paid for and everything. They were expecting Vince to fail
Yep.
Yeah.
and everything. And he said when he made that last payment, he was surprised at himself. He even
Mm-hmm.
he was able to make
Yeah.
that last payment.
And it's kind of like worded a little bit different, but like I've always kind of thought certain elements of this, but like, and they kind of said it, but it's like there were certain wrestlers that were protected basically throughout their whole life because it was like one of those things that like Vince Senior made Vince Jr. promise to like protect this person throughout the duration of their career.
Yeah.
Like Gorilla Monsoon, obviously, I never knew that, but I
Yep.
mean,
Yeah.
it was next in line, and then have a whole gorilla position named after him, and Arnold Skolin, and you know Pat Patterson, all odds, just other people that like he protected, and always had a job.
It seemed kind of like that way
Yeah.
with Captain Lou, too.
Yeah, Captain
Yeah.
Lou, which he's a lot reason why WrestleMania was a thing, which
Yeah.
learned a lot about that, which is cool. But yeah,
It's wild. It's wild to think that like Gorilla, like just imagine if Gorilla was going to take over, like and then Vince said there was a little. They were butting
Yeah.
head, obviously, because it's like Gorilla Monsoon's over here thinking, well, I'm fixing to take this, but then here comes
Vince
Junior,
comes
and he's
in
got
and-
all these weird ideas. To them, they're weird because they
Yeah.
hadn't been done yet.
None of this
like
stuff
the
would exist.
territories.
Yeah, like
none of
going
this
in-
would exist if it wasn't for Vince McMahon.
Oh yeah.
None.
Because all this stuff would have died out because they wanted to stay in a bubble, and those
Yep.
bubbles have all been busted. Even though Vince quote unquote bought the pop, but like the competition per se, but this stuff would have died out.
Well, the only thing I don't, he first started going into the territories with just making going into the territory and putting on his own promotions, and then he went in with the TV network deals and all that kind of stuff. Of course, if it wouldn't been for Vince and Hulk Hogan lining up together,
The real boss move was he was coming in, taking the talent, the top talent from the territories, then coming back with that talent and booking the territory. It was
example
like,
Hulk
yep,
Hogan.
Yep.
That's
Example,
a set of grapefruits.
That's definitely that's a flex.
That is definitely a flex.
yeah.
That
Prime
takes a cold, calculated business guy to come buy your talent and then bring them back in the same territory he bought them out
That
of.
man had
Well,
a
that's
master
one thing
plan.
you notice
Yeah.
throughout the whole series is you get a good chunk of the business side of and it's if you're in my way,
Ruthless.
it's ruthless.
gonna
Yeah,
crush you.
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you're in my way, I'm good. It may take me a little time, but I'm gonna beat you. And
He did
Some-
that.
yeah,
Something else that was interesting was that he wanted Dusty to be
Yeah.
the face of the company before Hogan.
Yeah.
But then Dusty just didn't.
He thought it was too big.
Yeah, didn't see
Yeah.
the vision.
I just didn't
like
see a
Vince.
payoff in that, brother. I just thought, me and young Cody would stay down there in Marietta. We'll stay not Marietta. You know, and we just do business down here, baby.
R.I.P. Dusty Rhodes. So that is another question. What if it had been Dusty Rhodes that would have been?
Ooh, it would have been big, Teddy.
Yeah.
Teddy, it would have
You
been big, buddy. It would have been Dusty Rhodes fighting Don Morocco for the WWF World Title. Ooh, Don Morocco was the original Rock, buddy. I would have been the real version. That other version wouldn't have been that looking like one of those little reasons you get from the movie theater.
Shout out Dusty Rhodes. Well, he saw something. He didn't see the vision, I guess, or just thought it was.
It was just a lot, you know. He did. He thought that. I mean, he made it very character driven, and that with that MTV coming on with Cyndi Lauper, it changed everything.
Yeah.
And like watching that part, even though like I knew it, just like really like thinking of that after all these years, and watching how they incorporated MTV, like it changed MTV.
Yeah,
and it changed wrestling.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's
ever, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, what else you got for the first?
well,
episode?
and then another. I think it was that episode where I didn't know that Jesse Ventura tried starting a union with the wrestlers and everything, and of course, who's the one to stomp all over that?
It's not gonna work for me, brother.
Yeah, Hogan's like
Hogan admitted to snitching.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I found out about that. I went straight to Vince McMahon.
Yeah, went straight to his. That's not gonna work for me, brother.
Yeah.
But see, here's the thing with that. Hulk Hogan did that, right?
because it was gonna affect his pockets.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, you don't think Hulk Hogan had insurance?
Exactly.
So he ain't worried. He's trying to. Oh, they're gonna stick you up. You don't think Hulk Hogan? It's because Hulk Hogan was covered
Exactly.
because he was the golden goose.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
That's.
Oh yeah.
Oh, God.
So-
Shout out to BJ.
Shout out to BJ, bro.
Yeah.
This is one question that I have, and
Okay.
it's kind of a debate. Did Vince McMahon make Hulk Hogan, or did Hulk Hogan make Vince McMahon?
I feel like they made each other.
They absolutely.
It's who came first, the chicken or the egg.
Yeah.
And
They made each other, bro.
Yeah,
They couldn't. One of them couldn't have done it without the other one.
No.
I mean, taking that Hulk Hogan was already becoming larger than life with AWA, and I
Yeah.
think that if he
Well,
was
Rocky 3 and Rocky 3.
I think AWA could have potentially, we'll never know, but
Yeah.
could have been that. Not to the extent of what
Because
WWE
he was gonna,
did.
he let him go film Rocky 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Vince Senior said, "No, you're not going to go
Yeah.
shoot this movie."
Because AWA, I'm a pretty big AWA fan, and they, territory-wise, they didn't just stay in one state. They were kind of expanded a little bit more. They wasn't just in Minnesota. They had a lot of coverage other places. I used to get home as a kid, and they were on, like, from my visual remembrance, visual remembrance.
I like it.
Of ESPN. I remember
ESPN
getting
for
home,
sure.
and it was like 3 o'clock, 3:30, and it was on. They had coverage.
Now, did they have the green ring apron around?
AWA was like red, blue
Okay.
kind of stuff. I
Okay.
mean, they had video games, they had action figures,
Yeah.
they had worldwide coverage.
Oh yeah, that's Gagne, right?
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Vern Gagne,
That's
man.
where you had. That's where you had the beginning. You had Kurt Hennig, you had Rick Rude,
Yeah,
you had,
so
you had Scott.
all that
them
competition
guys.
that
Yeah,
was
Road-
bought for Make WrestleMania was all bought at AWA. But if like if Hogan, you know, like think Iron Sheik, Hogan, all of them came from
Yeah.
AWA. So like, yeah, he went and like pretty much destroyed every territory, but he really ate up AWA.
Yeah.
you know.
If Hulk Hogan would have stayed in the AWA, I don't think that Hulk Hogan would have been who Hulk Hogan was.
No,
but I think if
yeah.
Hulk Hogan never went to WWE,
Yeah.
then Vince would have put
Yeah.
someone else in that position.
It'd-
and-
It
Somebody
still wouldn't
didn't
been
do it.
as big.
yeah.
It would have. It was.
I think it would have. I think it would have.
I still to this day, this ain't on the documentary, but I think a missed opportunity to be a gigantic, colossal household movie star was superstar Billy Graham.
Yep.
Not mentioned, but he was Hulk Hogan.
yeah.
He was Hulk Hogan and Dusty
Yeah.
Rhodes. He
Yeah,
looked
that's
like
what
Hulk
they both
Hogan.
admitted to
yeah.
like using his
yeah.
swag. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like a Flair would have been in Hogan's spot. I think WWE would have been bigger than it was with having Hulk Hogan there. Like, I
Have
think
y'all
if it
watched
would've-
Billy Graham's documentary? The
And
one
the
that's
old
on
one?
WWE? Yeah, the old one.
Oh yeah, the one like the tie-dyed one.
If y'all
Yeah.
haven't seen it, go back and watch it.
Yeah.
Because you'd be like, damn. Like,
Yeah,
it's all
he's-
about
we
what he
watched
just-
that back. We had that DVD
That's
back
one
in
of
the
the old
day.
school.
Now, what about Magnum TA back in the
What
day?
about Magnum TA, baby? He got in a car accident. It was not too far from Edda.
Yeah, he had the rocket strapped to him.
Nah, he
till
was
before-
ready to be, but he got hurt. But
Yeah,
he
had the
would have
mo-
wound up. Vince would have bought him too.
Yeah.
You know, he would have been. He was going to be a huge star.
Yeah.
An absolutely huge star.
But I enjoyed the first episode. I thought it was a good
Setup.
foundation
Yeah.
for what we were fixing to watch. But again, us being such
Yeah.
dialed in wrestling fans that we've seen 130 documentaries about everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's hard to not already, and it's fine. But like we knew most of it. I didn't know about some of those things in episode 1.
The Gorilla Monsoon thing.
The Gorilla Monsoon thing.
Yeah.
I
Vince
didn't.
McMahon Sr. firing him.
Yeah.
I knew somewhat. I knew that he didn't like it. I know he fired him, and then Junior hired him back.
But he hates being called Junior.
Yeah.
I did. It's in the first episode too. That's when we had the female referee first allegations of the
Yep.
graping and all that kind of stuff, and where it was a payoff. And he has the most creepy line in the whole documentary.
That's
When-
going to haunt him, bro.
When they ask him what his feelings of it was, and he says, "Oh, it was consensual." But even if it wasn't, the statute of limitations is
Yeah.
surpassed it anyways.
He said if you get
It
accused,
nonchalant.
he said if you get accused of grape, then you're a grapist.
Yeah.
He said it was consensual, but even like you said, it's like when he said that, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's not at age like good old fashioned whole milk, bro.
And through the whole series, you could tell that he's like, if something happens and he doesn't, he just erases it from his mind. He's like, oh, it's
he's
in the
not.
past.
He's not. I don't want to say he's not a human being because he is obviously. But
I'm not sure.
he's not wired like a.
Well,
human
he's got
being.
3 computers going on in his
Yeah,
head at
He
one
did say
time,
that, yeah. But
and
but
one
yeah.
of them's constantly thinking bad things.
Yeah. So episode 1 was. Episode 1 was cool.
Yeah.
It and then you
They touched on WrestleMania and how
Yeah.
that was created. and
Yeah,
all
I
that
loved
stuff.
all of that.
It talks about too about you get to find out about Vince not really having any fatherly like love at all, and didn't see him till he's 12. But even when he saw him, it's like his dad never showed him any kinds of "I'm proud of you, son" type stuff, which we're
What did
gonna
he
find out
say?
carries on.
I don't know if he said it on this Netflix doc, but I know there's been a quote saying, "I wish that my stepfather would have lived long enough so I could have killed him."
Oh wow, I
Yeah.
don't think that was on this.
Yeah, I heard that on I want to say Cornette's recap of the episode 1 where he's mentioned that before.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
Well, he was
probably
in
what he
that inner
told them.
circle. I mean,
that's what he told them during a writing meeting or something.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I mean, he was
Off
right there
record.
in the midst of it.
Yeah, for sure.
So episode 2 was that
That's Heat.
that's the heat.
Yeah. It opens up with Vince singing "Stand Back." That
Oh
video.
yeah. Oh god.
That was
dude.
funny.
It just
I've only seen like clips of that. I've never seen that much of it.
And then seeing Junkyard Dog back there and fucking Hulk Hogan
And
playing
Randy
the guitar
Savage
and
and-
Macho
Yeah.
Man, and
That was pretty funny right there.
he was doing his John Travolta thing, wasn't he?
Yeah.
that may have been what the referee episode. Then was the second one.
Yeah,
When-
I think so. Yeah. And then it kind of goes into like David Shoemaker, which
Yes.
I don't like at all. Dave Meltzer, which I don't like
I
at
was
all.
wondering what you thought
Yeah.
about
Yeah,
Meltzer.
and a lot of the wrestlers they were talking about how like the wrestling business and Vince, which it kind of goes into the to the union stuff, how
Yeah,
they
okay.
exploit wrestlers and stuff. I mean, yes, it's the entertainment business, and I believe that all entertainment kind of exploits the talent to
Yeah,
a certain extent.
absolutely.
But it's like you're a grown man. If you feel like you're being exploited, go find something else.
Yeah.
I notice a lot of times with Vince McMahon, nobody has a problem with them as long as the money's rolling in.
Yeah.
And it's like when the money stops rolling in, then that's when all this stuff, for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean,
Now,
there's a couple of situations where it's different, but for the most part, it's like once they're not getting what they want, then it's like, okay, Vince McMahon's a bad guy.
Yeah. Now their scheduling back in those days was
Brutal, man.
Yeah.
fucking brutal.
That's where I have issues. Is that the schedule that he puts them through, and then he didn't give them insurance,
Yep.
and then if they were hurt, they didn't get paid if they didn't
Yeah.
wrestle.
It just
Yeah.
kind of shows how
So it's
backwards
like-
they were back then because Jesse Ventura actually, that he meant well and that made all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
common sense was such a foreign thing
But
to
Well,
barbarians.
it was the good
back
old
in the
boy.
day.
It was the good old boy sport back in.
Yeah, and
Well-
just good old boy ain't never been good.
No,
That-
no,
So-
not at all.
No.
What Jesse Ventura was doing was the great thing to do, but it was the wrong person doing it.
Yeah.
Because I say that's because everybody has issues with the way Jesse Ventura delivers things. So I think that because even Vince was like, even if they would have done it, nobody was going to listen to Jesse Ventura.
Yeah.
So I'm like, they were painting Jesse Ventura as this crazy person, whatever.
And they were also independent contractors.
Correct.
And I don't know what they were getting paid, but it's like, you're a grown man. You should be financially responsible. You're getting paid more than somebody that's working down at McDonald's or
Yeah.
something. So it's
Yeah.
like, you're an independent contractor. Your talent, negotiate your contracts better or find something else to
Think
do.
about this though, man. Like if they were on the road 300 and something days a year, and you're always constantly in your car. Back then, there was no cell phones, there was no MapQuest, there was no Google Maps. And if you really even had health insurance and you wanted to go to a doctor, when would you ever have time to do that?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, and that
You don't make the
barbarian
town
of a business.
You don't make
And
the
it was the sign of the times.
and you didn't get paid.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the NFL and NBA and stuff like that was doing at that time. I mean, I know like you hear about
Well,
old NFL players, they're taping their wrist up, even in the
that's
90s
why I
and stuff,
mentioned
it's like-
y'all should really get a good listen to that Jesse Ventura interview on that Chris Van Vliet podcast, because he talks about that, which is why he brought it up, because he was starting to become a huge star in other areas, and he had ran into some football players, and they were talking about how they got a union.
Yep.
And he told Ventura, you should spread this word and get this to
Yeah.
your crew. And he was like, what are you talking about? So they kind of explained to him.
Yeah.
And he's like, holy smokes, like I want to take this and get, make sure my people are,
Yeah.
And so like they're taken care of. And like, that's why he brought that up. And I can't remember the football players' names, but he literally touches on that.
Yep.
It's like one or two guys that played in the NFL that he ran into on an elevator or something. And they were telling him about it. And so that's why he went back and presented that.
Yep.
So,
Which is definitely what should have happened.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Most
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I agree too. I think he should have taken care of them a
Yeah.
lot better.
with-
Especially, you know,
and with the statement about,
Yeah.
oh, it's just Ventura. If anybody would have said that, Vince McMahon would have shot that on the ground.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
That's what they were trying to paint Jesse
Yeah.
Ventura as, this crazy person
Yeah.
that nobody listened to. And he's already bitter at Jesse Ventura because Jesse Ventura sued him for some unpaid stuff about announcing and stuff.
That came after, but yeah, that
You know what
it's
I'm
all
saying?
in, yeah.
Listen, interviewing Vince McMahon
Yeah.
now, he's
Yeah.
probably got all this. He's going to no sell it, but
Yep.
And I'll bring this. Most of these interviews were filmed. The good chunk were filmed in 2021 and 2022
Yeah,
for this
before-
documentary.
Yeah, for sure.
Before all the shit came out and all that kind of stuff, and before I don't want to say if anybody had an idea because
They all
people
knew,
had
bro.
to know.
There's no way they
It's
didn't.
been going on for the entire
Decades. It's been going on
Here,
decades.
If you're, let's put it like this: if you're working at a job 300 days a year and you're around your boss 300 days a year in some capacity, and around all your coworkers, and the boss is fucking doing fuck shit, you're gonna hear about it.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
You're gonna
yeah.
hear about it.
They just turned the other cheek back then because
Because
you
again-
had to.
Yeah,
And you had Ventura that was one of the few that didn't need them.
because he was getting in. He was.
He
coming
owned
into
the
Hollywood.
gym.
He's becoming a big time
Yeah.
actor.
And he literally could afford to be a rebel.
Yeah.
And what does most rebels get with this wrestling industry? Honest
ball.
to truth, no.
Black-
Rewarded, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Oh yeah, well,
Shawn Michaels was a rebel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rewarded. Jesse Ventura, I wouldn't say rewarded, but he might got let go. But every time he was let go, they let him come back.
Yeah.
Every single time.
he sold tickets, bro.
Boom.
then they go and talk
That's
about
my opinion.
Yep.
You know.
WrestleMania 2, WrestleMania 3, WrestleMania 2. They had a lot of challenges because it was in multiple locations, all that.
I'll
But
never
then-
do that again.
Yeah,
That was a cluster,
but
bro.
then
That's when he took chances.
Mhm.
He took risks. It cost him a shit ton of money. I mean,
That was-
we'll talk about that later in the episode too of what he tried doing.
that WrestleMania 2. I did not.
No,
understand.
No.
I get what he was
yeah.
trying to do. It just wasn't
It wasn't
It was
ready.
before. Nowadays you could pull that off.
exactly. I think that
You
that
can do
scarred
WrestleMania on
him.
Mars now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if they ever tried it again, I would be interested. But that's that
In
it's just not the
85,
time.
86.
Yeah, it was just
Not-
way. It was just
Yeah.
Yeah.
too because there was too many issues going on with the delay and too many time zones.
I don't think they had the talent back then. They needed to execute like
Exactly.
you know,
Very Special
yeah.
Delivery Jones was on the card. In WrestleMania 1.
Yeah.
But is this the episode 2, or you're on episode 2 of the Heat episode where they're talking about Phil Donahue and Geraldo and all that stuff because the girl, the
With
referee,
David Schultz and with the getting
Yeah.
punched.
Yep.
David Schultz.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
Geraldo or Donahue's the one that interviewed the Rita girl that was the ref.
Yes, yes.
That he basically said you're going to do this or you're not going to advance in your career, and
Never seen her again.
yeah, and then it said it showed the little note saying that he even though the statute of limitations was up, didn't he like settle?
Yeah, he's
out of
still
court?
out of court. Yeah.
So why did you settle, bruh?
A lot of times, wealthy people will settle because it's not worth their time.
Exactly.
So just because you settle doesn't
That's
mean
true.
guilt.
Yeah.
But that statement that he made, that
Yeah.
that was to
You gonna
me
tell me he didn't
when
do
I
that to that
yeah
woman?
I think he's guilty
Yep.
of everything he's been ever accused
Yeah,
of.
bro.
Ever.
Yeah.
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 So you got
um,
anything else? Well, the David Schultz thing.
I love that.
His episode of
Dark
Dark Side of
Side.
the Ring is so good.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
true. All
Well,
of it's
so true.
And what they talked about too is Vince went into the locker room and said, "Hey, somebody needs to set this guy straight."
Yep.
And I don't just nonchalantly putting it out there is like, "Hey, somebody needs to do something about this. It's not going to be me because I'm the head honcho. So somebody go out there and
When they knew
Can I-
he would do it.
Can I state right now that the MVP of this entire series is Tony motherfucking
Atlas.
Atlas?
dude, yes,
I want to
yes.
see Tony
100%.
Atlas do a podcast or somebody just sit it down and
Yeah,
talk to
because
that
he's
dude.
Yeah.
honest.
Because he's honest. I love the way he tells stories, and he don't know how to not be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
So he just tells you like it is, and you can tell everything he says is.
Man.
There's nothing like.
have y'all seen
fabricated.
Legends House?
Yeah.
Watch him on that.
Oh, yeah, he's great. Him and Jim Duggan,
and,
man.
and he's wearing a cutoff shirt
Yeah.
with a tie.
Dude,
it still looks good.
Dude,
Yeah, oh,
Tony
yeah.
Atlas is probably what 70.
Yeah,
Probably.
Yeah, his arms are as big as my legs
God.
still.
And he just
But
happens. He's been around for a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff, man.
Remember that MTV True Life episode with him?
Oh, yeah.
and everything
Yeah,
where
yeah.
it followed him, or like he
Yeah.
was doing like these small like high school gym independent thing, and like he was trying to be a promoter at the time
Yep.
and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about
They've
that.
done a dark side of him, haven't they? Or no, he's just
I
been
don't
on
think so.
the-
Yeah,
I don't
I
know,
think
but
he's
yeah,
just
he's
been
been he's been a part of so much of the stuff that happens.
Oh
he just
yeah,
happened to be
he was
there.
down in Puerto Rico
Yep.
when
That's why. That's why I
Yeah.
keep thinking because
Yeah.
he was.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But shout out Tony Atlas. I just wanted to get that in.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
100% agree, too.
He was great on it.
With WrestleMania 3, they were talking about the attendance and
I don't understand why
that
they make such a big deal.
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
that's why I was like.
There's a
it's
lot
not-
of damn people at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's all you got to say.
all
There's
you
just
gotta
a
do
lot
is
of people.
look. All you gotta do is look at it. You
I
gotta
look
see
at that still with in my lens, and I just go, "Wow!" I
Yep.
did that even on the podcast. I mean, I keep saying podcast on the documentary. I just kept looking at that crowd, and I'm like, Whew, "You just don't see that."
80, was that 87? Right? No, 86.
Well, they
They
said what
said
93.
93. Yep.
I'm saying I'm saying the year.
The year
yeah,
was
yeah,
87.
yeah, yeah.
87. yes,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, do you believe that Hogan didn't know the finish to that match?
I don't.
Man,
They've stuck with that. I actually
He-
believe that.
if it's Andre
Mm-hmm.
the Giant, bro, and everybody's went on record saying Andre the Giant, if he didn't want to do something, he's not going to fucking
I
do
won't do it.
it. Yeah.
But
Do you think he kept Hogan on his toes like that?
I know for a fact he did on that. That is a true story.
Well, that's awesome that
Yeah.
somebody was able to actually do that to Hogan in his career. That going into the world heavyweight title match, that he didn't know the finish till he said "slam me" and dropped then the rest is history for the WWE, because that's the biggest moment in WWE history.
In my opinion, it is.
I love that Vince McMahon went to the set of Princess Bride to tell Andre
Yeah.
the Giant, "I want you to come back," I thought that was
and
fucking
paid for
great.
the surgery.
Yeah.
He said, "I'll pay."
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Poor Andre.
The reason he had the surgery is probably doing all that wrestling for Vince over the last 10 years or however long. Because I can't remember how long he was with Senior. Andre went wherever the fuck he wanted to go.
Oh yeah.
He was in other territories too. I think he was in AWA as well.
Yeah.
They all were, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man.
But
AWA.
he was a traveler though. He hit all. He's just.
Only I travel.
They touched on the greatest film made in all of history.
Oh,
No Holds Barred, and how
I
that
love
came
that
up.
they used the Dookie segment.
That's the best scene in
Only
the
segment
movie.
worth showing in that movie.
I went to movies and seen that as a
Yeah.
kid.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I was so hyped for that movie. So
Yeah.
hyped for that movie. And once again, Vince saying, "Well, I can't lose you." So
Exactly.
We'll make a movie.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
I like hearing about the little, like we said, all of us are like super fans and we know so much. But I do like hearing like little little layers of little things that they'll talk about within that stuff, like talking about how they went to the hotel room and basically wrote it. Imagine them just sitting around BSing. Little stuff like that is like I'm interested in because I just know so much about the
right.
other stuff.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
They get into the steroids more into that one.
Yeah.
Is it the episode with the Ring Boys too?
Yep.
Oh,
The
man.
Ring Boy stuff.
They've really tried to they've tried to keep that under wraps. I've known about it for a long time.
Oh yeah, it's been talked about.
But,
seen little,
yeah.
but with how detailed it got with.
Can I get my other MVP?
Yeah.
Bret Hart.
Oh, dude, yeah. I agree completely.
Bret
dude.
Hart for sure.
When
He's a
came
podcast.
out and called.
How come he don't have one?
He used to have a little minor one back in the day that never had a lot of traction.
believe ain't nobody
Called Crying
calling
with
it.
Brett.
Yeah,
Oh,
I would love to
Hater
hear.
over here.
What do you say?
It's called Crying with Brett.
He's a crybaby. He is definitely a
Well,
crybaby.
I wouldn't say
But
he's a crybaby. I say he's a grudge holder.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
for
But
life, a grudge holder.
Holding grudges with Brett.
But
Hart.
he tells the
And
truth
Conrad
though,
Thompson.
about
Yes,
why.
and his fucking brother.
Ugh.
Dude,
That,
you tell,
why
you got-
would? If it was me, I'd be the same way,
did
bro.
Did they murder my brother? Yeah,
They,
that's.
well, that's a
We'll-
whole
we'll
other
get
story,
there,
bro.
yeah.
That's but that the whole Pat Patterson when Bret Hart came out, not Pat Patterson, but the ring announcer guy that was
Terry
in charge,
Garvin.
yeah.
and straight up came out and said he's a pedophile.
Well, that was the other guy. Garvin was the other guy. The male,
Mel.
the black dude that
Mel
was announcing.
Phillips.
Yeah,
Mel Phillips.
yeah.
Phillips,
like
yeah.
Bret Hart comes straight out and said, "Oh, he was a pedophile."
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was gross.
See what I'm saying? And it's like, and here's another thing. Again, I love Bruce Pritchard, but Bruce Pritchard on that interview, on that series, sat there and said, Pat Patterson didn't do anything. It was the other two.
Yeah,
no
right.
comment. But you were good friends with Pat Patterson, and everybody else said Pat Patterson did all that.
Yeah.
What Tony Atlas say?
exactly.
What Tony Atlas say?
He grabbed my pecker. That's what he grabbed my pecker. He said he
One
did
more time.
what?
How did he say it?
He said he grabbed my pecker. He said if you go to Vince, he said who you gonna go to?
Exactly.
Yeah,
That was
exactly.
really
That's
that
what
sums
it
up
is.
the entire
Yes,
everything
dude.
right there.
That's,
Yeah.
It's like you gonna say so Bruce Pritchard. You gonna and I love Bruce Pritchard, but you gonna say Tony Atlas made that up?
Yeah.
That don't make him look good.
Exactly.
Him getting fondled by another dude, like especially somebody as old school as Tony Atlas is.
Yeah.
But like that, and I get it, but you're not. Everybody else says the complete opposite thing about Pat Patterson
Yeah.
when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah. I didn't know.
Shawn Michaels, they didn't talk about that, but they said that that was.
Oh,
He
dude,
was-
Piper used to talk about a lot
Yes,
of it too,
dude.
man. Yeah.
All them shoot and see. I've been hearing about that with Pat Patterson because we watch all them shoot interviews
Yeah.
back in the day.
The Vincent man is much. He's a piece of shit. He's
Yes.
scum. But one of the things that sums up a lot of things. I know we're still going down it. Sorry, Virgil. You just
Come back, Virgil.
fell. There's so many people. Is in the high percentage of people that are not here to tell their side of the story.
Yeah.
That kid, the ring boy, they didn't mention on there. I'm an advanced wrestling knowledge person.
Yeah.
That the main kid of the ring boy scandal, he died about 2 years ago, so he's not allowed to be
the
interviewed.
dude that they showed the clips of.
Yeah, he's not alive.
know that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he died a few years ago. And he never was able to tell his story. You know what I'm saying?
they told it for him.
So yeah, there's just there's so many people that they can't would you know, superstar Billy Graham is no longer here. You know, Bruno Sammartino's no longer here.
Yeah.
They would say something if they were alive.
Yeah.
You just never know because not everybody just like worship the ground that man walked on. It's just surprising a lot of people who they're not here.
Well,
You know,
especially
so-
now that he has no part of the business whatsoever, like zilch, nothing.
Yeah, none of these people have anything to lose. That's why I wish Cornette would have been on it because Cornette, like,
that's one thing I was
Yeah.
disappointed. I really thought that they
yeah,
would have, but I wonder if Vince had a say so on who could be interviewed for the.
Shit, he let Dave Meltzer come on.
Yeah.
there.
exactly.
And Phil
They do not like
Mushnick.
each other.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Phil
Phil
Mushnick.
Mushnick, yeah.
That dude was after Vince
Yeah.
all the time.
What do y'all
Yeah.
think about Mushnick?
I was looking right at you because you don't like Meltzer, so I figured you don't like Mushnick if you don't
Why
like
don't you
Meltzer.
like Meltzer though? What did Meltzer do?
He's Dave Meltzer.
What does that mean though? What is he? I mean, I get I get.
Because he loves AEW.
Rumors
so much.
and innuendo.
A lot of his
In
stuff,
the window.
a lot of his stuff is factual. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
man.
Now, I will say with Dave Meltzer, the attendance thing, who gives a fuck about the attendance? There was a lot of fucking people there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether it was 78,000, 81,000, 93,000,
If-
6
It's
million
just a
people.
shit
If
ton
he
of people.
was,
Yeah.
if
That-
he
he
was
focuses too much on that
neutral,
part.
but he
Yeah.
leans Vince hating. He's similar to at first Vince was kind of letting him come in, do a lot of stuff, and then it's kind of like he pushed him away, possibly because of the stuff that he was reporting, or maybe it was lies. I don't know.
Do you know why he's such a Vince hater?
I mean,
because Vince McMahon's a piece of shit. That's why.
Facts.
allegedly.
Allegedly, there's facts.
Well,
It's
like Phil Muchnick said that he was aiding and abetting this ring boy thing, but there's no proof. Is Vince that good of a criminal that he gets away with everything?
Vince is that rich of a criminal.
Yeah.
Pat Patterson was his best friend, bro.
Yeah.
His best friend. So that'd be like me and Brandon. Me and Brandon are with each other every day on the road every day, and then Brandon starts seeing me doing some real suspect shit. You don't think Brandon's gonna see that before anybody else sees that, or I'm gonna tell Brandon about it on accident, or you know what I'm saying? There's no proof, but that's his best friend for 50 years.
I'm not gonna say it, but I'm gonna tell you. I'm not gonna say it on here. But there's a reason why Vince McMahon protected Pat Patterson so much. I'll talk about it off air.
I think I know.
They probably had a relationship with each other.
They 100% had a relationship with each other. Vince McMahon likes.
He said it in the episode. He has the 3 computers.
Why? Why not?
Hold on. We'll say it. He has the 3 computers going on in his head. This is he has
him shitting on the bench with another dude is all I needed to hear.
The business computer going off, and then he mentions the 3rd computer is constantly thinking about sex. And they're like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm thinking about sex right now during this interview."
Yeah,
it's
he
like,
was
what?
thinking
You're
about
70-year-old
grabbing Pat's pecker.
I'll say this I'll say this in a respectful way because I really mean this in a respectful way. Not towards Vince McMahon, he's a piece of shit, but Vince McMahon definitely likes muscle men and young
WBF.
women. He likes men and women. He just likes women below a certain age, and he likes men a certain size.
Well, I mean, look
World
at
Bodybuilding Federation.
Yeah, World
That's what I mean. He likes a certain size man.
It's in the documents that have came out about the toys that were used, and they were named after male wrestlers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But let's be clear, all of this is
facts.
Alleged.
That's why we're on different sides of the table, y'all.
I'm just here.
I love it. I love different perspectives.
I'm not saying
of
that it didn't happen because
happened.
it sounds likely to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, it
But I'm
happened.
saying right now it's just like saying that Vince McMahon distributed steroids.
It's all going to come out.
If it looks like a dog and it barks like one, it's a motherfucking
cat.
puppy.
I will say this on the steroid things. That I will say this. That's out of every Taylor Brandon 101. I'm a huge wrestling historian. Out of everything I've ever been interested in the history of professional wrestling, I can go into very, very deep detail about the steroid trial. I've researched that damn near my whole life. I still do this day. That is the only thing that I will protect Vince McMahon on. There's a pro con to that. Mm-hmm. The thing is, at a certain point, when wrestling was hot in the 80s and in sports in general, steroids were legal. Mm-hmm. They became illegal in the middle of all of that.
Nope.
And he never distributed them, but he let a doctor handle that. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, but then there's a con. You had to be a certain size of a star to make the big money and to be considered a star. And he might have not have pushed it on them, but he would give you
yes,
certain work.
dude. It's like
No, Vince took him himself.
maybe work a little harder in the gym. They talk about that. Maybe work a little harder in the gym. That's what that meant.
I've heard this my whole life, and I've listened, read the documentaries and stuff about Rick Rude. How, he never got over that threshold because he was not a certain size and he was killing himself to be a certain size and his body was so chiseled, but he could not get bigger.
Yeah.
But
bulkier.
Yeah. Why do you think they died so early, man? They died of steroids. They died of trying to freaking be the top star and make this money. That's the way it was. He's dead because he tried steroids at a very young age. I will get controversial on this. Kurt Hennig is no longer here. The Ultimate Warrior is no longer. These people died early because of steroid abuse, and they died because they had no health care and they were killing their bodies at a young age.
Facts.
It's the truth.
I mean,
It's the truth. It's the truth.
Yeah.
This shows you this not allegedly steroids will kill you. That is a true story.
Yeah.
And at the time, that's why they're illegal now.
Yeah.
That's why they changed it.
And then you mix the steroids with the head injuries
With
that
the
you learn
concussions and alcoholism and being on the road and not being
painkillers. Because you ain't got a doctor, so you got to go when you're going to business.
It's a recipe for disaster.
Soma's was the biggest pain
Muscle
pill. They don't
relaxers,
you don't even go to you can be hurt now and don't get prescribed Somas.
No, they're muscle relaxers.
Yeah,
They don't
Somas was a whole different thing back then.
And they were
man.
popping them like Pez.
Yeah,
Yeah, bro. They're doing like, but yeah, like
it's crazy, man.
that was that three episodes in?
The 3 was the screw job episode, correct?
We've talked about that in its own entire
Was there
episode.
something else from episode 2 that you wanted to touch on?
Nope. It just leads into Hogan testifying, and then the beginning of episode 3 talks about
Randy
the Randy
Richter.
Richter.
And,
the original screw job.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then it goes into we get the whole Montreal screw job parts of it. And I'm surprised they had Taker. That's the one person I am surprised that came in for the documentary was Taker.
Well, but you got to think it was because it was before all that shit
Correct.
came out.
Yeah.
So Vince is still.
Well, he says it in there. He says that Vince is like a father.
He said, "I'll take a bullet for him."
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
I mean-
he said, "I'll take a bullet for."
If y'all noticed at the very first of the documentary how they set down so many big stars, but you never heard a thing else after that initial sit down to discuss. Do you have any thoughts on that?
As far as like all the people
They
that
said Cena down, they said Cody down, they said all these people down at the beginning
Yeah,
of that.
Probably
they barely
not
even
gonna
talked to him.
probably
And
nobody
Stone
would probably.
Cold.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like
Rock
everybody
had his meal sitting there eating it,
Yeah.
but they never.
Yeah, they never had anything.
Barely. They do at the end.
Yeah, the only person that came in for a 2024 interview was Pritchard.
Yeah.
That's the only even Vince. Vince was like, no.
But it was 2 days after they interviewed him that all that shit came out.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it still was. I think they're going to end up doubling back because this shit's going to get so many views.
Vince and Kevin Dunn are already working on a rebuttal
Yeah.
to this.
Interesting.
It's going to have 9,050 cuts per second and 19 camera angles.
So that you just told me something I didn't think about. Right? So Kevin Dunn's still like one of his right hand people. Then okay,
Brian Gewirtz didn't because he was on there.
Nope.
He's still,
Yeah.
That's Rock's guy though.
it's Rock's guy, but like you don't even really hear Rock's side of.
No,
how he
he's-
really feels.
No, Rock is so big now. They're making sure he stays very Switzerland on the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just they limited what. There's no telling what all they asked him and Cena and all them guys, but
like you said, there's 10 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
uncut
like-
footage, man.
Of
But like-
footage that we may never see,
Yeah.
or we could see.
episode 3, man, with it being the screw job, we've already talked about the screw job
Yeah.
in great detail.
Yeah.
They did kind of talk about with Vince being how he played the victim against Ted Turner and how.
Oh yeah,
And-
that's when the whole WCW.
And they were saying that basically he was complaining because Ted Turner done the same thing that he did.
Yeah, dude.
But then
That
he
was
was
like,
saying like it's
can't
not
do
the
that,
same.
bro.
It's
Yeah.
not the
Ever since
same.
I was a kid, I've always,
Yep.
I hung around
Rocks
with.
and glass houses, man.
yeah,
I used to hang
Monday
out with,
the whole Monday Night War screw job episode is all
yeah.
Yeah,
everything. That's that's you can.
I hung out with old head like parents of like, my friends' parents were like big like territory wrestling fans as a kid. And I remember like during that time, I remember I had one of my buddies. His dad be like, "Fuck him." He's all just like it. Fuck him. Then his daddy told him not to go and do that to other people, and they doing it back to you now. I don't want to hear that. Fuck him. And I was just this kid. We just sitting there laughing. But I got older, and I'm like, yeah, he was crying about it. He makes more money than me.
It's like if you punch somebody in the face and they punch you back, you're like, shit,
Exactly.
that hurts. He punched me.
How you gonna be a millionaire? Literally, you're a millionaire crying on TV about somebody having more money than you.
Yeah.
Cry me a fucking River Timberland and Justin Timberlake song. Why? I ain't trying to hear that shit.
Yeah,
dude.
get the fuck out
Yeah,
of me.
yeah.
But yeah, it just and then did that episode mention the whole Owen thing as well?
I'm not sure if it was in. I didn't have anything in the notes about
Oh,
that
okay.
one.
I
on
think
that.
that was episode 4.
Yeah.
What was the episode 4 title?
Attitude.
Oh yeah, that's the whole attitude
Yeah.
era and
That was,
everything.
that was May of '99 over the edge.
Which once it goes into the whole building of Stone Cold and everything, and it goes into the curtain call, all that stuff we've heard before. But what made stuck out to is just how quote unquote Stone Cold Vince is during the whole interview process,
That's just how he is, I think.
and
No,
just
that's not- I
he
mean,
just
it's
doesn't give a
He don't
fuck.
sell anything.
Yeah.
No, exactly, and they say
Yep.
that numerous times. Vince,
One thing I've always thought, just like I will never get an answer to, I don't think, but like just real deep down in the core of backstage politics, personal lives, whatever it is, why it happened to be that era, the Attitude Era, was the only time that he's ever let like a handful of people basically call their shots, which is really weird. Because think about all the stars he had in the 80s and 90s and even now. But like ratings were down. They were getting their ass kicked 83 weeks in a row, to be exact.
yeah,
But he let like, fuck it, 3 jobbers and a 1 star run the show. Actually, it was 4 jobbers because X-Pac wants to kid.
yeah.
And Razor Ramon and Diesel, and I say I'm sorry, they were jobbers, and then he made them stars, and they started like calling their shots, and Shawn Michaels was a star. I did notice one thing though. Triple H, when he mentioned the Clique, he said Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Shawn Michaels and himself. He excluded Sean Waltman from
Why
the
is
Clique.
that? He wasn't
Yeah.
interviewed. They didn't.
That's a great point right
What
there.
happened with that?
I don't know, but I was making
That's
sure
interesting.
No one
Yeah,
called-
that-
I
that's-
noticed
yeah.
that. I was
that's a
like,
great
why didn't they
point,
mention
yeah.
X-Pac's name?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's
There's just always still little over layers of things that I've always wondered about. Another thing, I'll backpedal off of it on the documentary. How are X-Pac and Hunter such good friends? They both banged the same woman.
Yeah.
They were best friends after that, but like he made a movie with the woman that you were with forever before you cheated on her to get with the boss's daughter.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing things out there right
Well,
now,
he
my
did.
friends.
It's
This is the
what
truth.
happened.
It's
It's
the
what
truth.
happened.
I'm just saying.
it's what happened.
It's just kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. I don't know. Like wrestling's a very, very weird
Well, then
thing.
we get the
which-
birth in this episode. We get the birth of the Mr. McMahon character, which
Yep.
I don't think Mr. Mc. Who's worse, Vince McMahon or Mr. McMahon?
I think they're both
Look,
equal.
I can look. I
I
don't
think Mr. McMahon is. Well, they're both pieces.
It's
of
the
shit.
same. It's the same person, bro. Like Vince can sit on there all he wants and say that's not. We're close to the person I really am.
Who are you?
But you're not showing the people anything different.
That's
So
what
how
Bill.
they sp-
That's what Bill Simmons said.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
he said, he sits down to talk about himself, but then as the time went on, there's nothing he could say because they don't know if he even knows himself.
Because there's a spot in one of the episodes, and it's the early ones where they ask him a question. He says something, and then he immediately contradicts himself, and even admits that he's being contradictory.
Yeah.
Is
And
that
then
what they
just
show-
stands on it. He just
I
like,
think they show a video clip where it's like
Yes.
proving him wrong. I think.
Yeah,
But
he's
how
like,
do
we
you
don't have
even
no.
know yourself?
Yeah.
Do you go on vacations?
Yep.
I sure as hell do. Do you go on vacations? I know.
Yeah.
The man doesn't do anything but work out and do wrestling. Like they talked about how he got forced one time to go on a vacation.
Yeah.
One time.
Two days.
that's where he came out with
That's what-
WrestleMania.
yep.
Yeah, and Cornette said that ain't true neither. But like,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
But-
there you go.
but when the one or 2 times he's ever been on vacation, he's always slept,
Yeah.
shit, wrestling. Like,
Yeah.
who are you?
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
I don't know,
He's old, and it's all you've ever done.
man. Yeah.
That's
Until
weird.
it's and
He lives in a bubble. It's
The
like he
most
lives in the bubble, and then it's just like
bubble of
that's
all
his
bubbles.
reality.
Yeah, man.
and Linda stuck out to me too. Like,
Yeah.
oh, how
She knows everything, bro.
Everything.
It's
Yeah.
just his wife, bro. She's not gonna sell it just because she's been with him 50 years, bro. She has to move like he moves.
yeah
She accepts whatever he fucking does. She has to. I mean, you know how it is. We all.
yeah.
Who slept with more women, Bill Cosby or Vince McMahon? I'm just throwing y'all. I'm just throwing it out there on this episode. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and then
This stuff's been on my mind.
while wrapping up the episode 4, the attitude stuff, the Owen stuff was
Yep.
so
Terrible, dude.
terrible in itself. But then for him to sit on there and justify keeping the show going and then comparing it to, well, if it had been me that died, I would have expected the show to go on. And
No.
It's just like, bruh.
Use
And
my
you-
body
and
laid
expect
splat in the middle of in the ring. That's just crap right there.
And expecting
Why
his
say that?
friends to go out there and don't no sell what just happened.
That's one thing I never have seen. I don't know how I've missed that because I have watched that pay-per-view. Like I didn't see it live, and I didn't see. You don't see what happens, but I never noticed that blood spot.
Yeah.
Did they edit that out in like the stuff and they just showed it on there because it's more raw? Have y'all ever noticed all that?
Well, I'm sure. Well, it's probably because it wasn't WWE programming. You know what I'm saying? I wonder because
Because it was right there on the
yeah,
side
I
of the mat
never
right
have
there.
seen that before.
And they of course show that clip of Jeff Jarrett right there, and you could tell
Yeah.
he's physically like.
And maybe I just overlooked
and they
it.
expected him to go out. He was the very next match.
And that's his best friend.
And you expect him to go
Yeah.
out there and.
he did. That's what.
But like, I guess that blood might have been. That's why I was asking y'all.
I've never noticed it.
I've tried to watch that pay per view before, and honestly, it's the worst pay per view I've ever seen for obvious reasons. So maybe I've just fast forwarded and skipped through it, and just
I think there was a hardcore match before that also, and that's why I always thought the blood came from. But I mean, it wasn't. Yeah.
No, yeah.
Do you
Like
think that-
going back and watching it and knowing.
Do you think all like him putting Owen, Vince was putting Owen through all that shit just because of Brett leaving?
I mean, he's known
'Cause
to
Owen
punish
was one-
people,
Yeah.
but I don't think he tried to kill him.
Well, no, I don't think he tried to. I don't think he on purpose.
No,
but the
I don't
gimmicks.
think that.
But
I
the
don't
Blue
think that.
Blazer,
The Blue
he was a really a joke of a Blue Blazer, opposed to the very first run he did as
Yeah,
the
it
Blue
was.
Blazer.
It was a
Yeah.
parody.
And
it was like
there-
a bushwhacker, bro. It's like they
Yeah.
treated him like a bushwhacker.
Yeah.
There was things that he turned down
Yes.
that they wanted him to do creatively.
Yeah,
so
like,
they're like
infidelity.
It's like a punish.
Yes, bro. And they
punishment,
were
like, here
punishing
you
him
go.
because of Brett. That's all it
I
was.
just always thought that when he
And the WWE
re-signed-
won a lawsuit against the
Yeah.
manufacturer of the harness
Yeah,
that he was
for sure.
wearing and
So
everything.
that's who
too.
and that's the first thing Vince pawned it off right then.
Yeah,
It wasn't. We found out it wasn't safe, and it's like, but what was you having him do that for?
yeah.
What did he get? Because you had him as a joke. So him doing that, it ain't nothing cool like when Shawn Michaels did it or Sting did it. It's a joke. So you'd have probably he was gonna get down there and get whipped. So like, what was the point of doing it?
Yeah, they had it as a joke.
And
at the
they
time.
briefly talk about the whole Sable stuff. Briefly talk about the whole
Yeah,
Sable.
they jumped over that a lot. I was honestly surprised they even touched on that at all.
Yeah,
Because Brock
Brock,
is, you get it. So yeah,
Well, now, but the next episode is probably my favorite one.
That's my favorite.
Family
one.
Business.
Yep.
When it talks about the whole
Yeah.
everybody, and you
Dude,
kind of just get a breakdown of each of Vince and Shane and
you feel it for
Stephanie.
Shane in this episode, dude. You feel it for Shane.
Yeah, you start to get a glimpse inside of Shane McMahon as far as what kind of father Vince really is, and you can tell that there's just not heat.
You can tell that Shane is
He don't
breaking
look-
the mold of his
Yeah.
grandfather and his dad.
Yeah.
with his kids.
Shane seems like a complete, I won't say opposite of his dad, but like he seems like a very present
Stephanie's more
father.
like Vince. So
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
100%.
to a certain extent because she
And again-
does the right thing. But
Yes.
she just loves her dad.
Yeah.
MVP of the series, Tony Atlas said it. He said, Shane's nice.
He's too
He
nice.
said, you can't be the guy in charge and be nice. They're going to run all over you. And he said, you ain't nobody going to run over that woman. Talking about Stephanie.
Yeah,
And that kind of goes with what you were just saying.
Yeah, she just
as far as
loved
that
him,
goes.
man.
but Shane literally put himself through hell
yeah,
to get approval from his father.
And then every time he'd suggest ideas, the man would
Just-
shoot him down. They'd hold initially buying the UFC when it was a
Yes,
shell of what it
crazy.
is.
Yeah.
The biggest thing in the world now. But
crazy.
he pitched that to Vince. Vince didn't
And now
want
the
to do with it.
UFC pretty much bought the
Yeah.
UFC.
Yeah, now- yeah.
It's
Yeah.
totally different. But I mean, you got to think about that they show clips of the King of the Ring match against Angle where he gets dropped on his head and is yelling at Kurt Angle during that match, "Get me through the glass."
Yeah.
And then on the reverse side is what took 3 times to get him through it. And
On each side, it took 3 times.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the only time he got approval from Vince was when after that Hell in a Cell match with Undertaker. He's like,
It was like 15 years after
Yeah,
the Angle
yeah,
match.
Yeah.
for sure.
And he
yeah.
did 30 other terrible things.
Yeah, falling
with
off.
Steve Blackman with the
yeah,
with
the
whoever.
Big Show fall. I mean, just
X-Pac. He
Yeah.
did a bunch of crazy shit with X-Pac.
What about when Paul Heyman? Did y'all see the clip with Paul Heyman where he's talking about Vince?
knife
Want a toe chain. If you want this idea that you're going for, you're gonna have to take. He handed him a knife and said you're gonna have to put it right here.
Told Shane,
Yeah.
you'd have to stab me in the back. I'm privy to the bee. Let me stop. Okay, never mind.
I love Paul Heyman,
Yes.
but Paul Heyman would make if he was talking about me going to McDonald's and ordering a number 2,
Yeah.
he could turn that
Entertaining.
into a goddamn trailer for a movie. Yeah. He can make anything sound like the most epic shit ever.
Yeah,
And that's what I
definitely
noticed.
has
Him,
that ability. Yeah.
He did that. He does that every time he
Yeah.
talks, but like he definitely
yeah.
was doing it in this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He dialed into that.
But yeah,
sure.
you can tell like Shane got emotional multiple times.
Yeah.
It just
I
feel
wasn't
for him.
expecting that, but yeah, for sure.
And I like the little clip of right before the WrestleMania entrance. He's like, spur of the moment, he's like, I'm asking my kids to come out there with me.
Yeah.
And that's, like I said, he's breaking the mold of his granddad.
Which is
and his dad.
unfortunate because I always thought as a kid, I'm sure y'all did too. I thought that when this time in our life and our age, he'd be running the company.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He thought it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another before we move to the next thing we're going to talk about. I thought it was interesting too that they didn't involve Mick Foley in any of this either.
It's,
He's another one that they
that's a
never.
good point. Yeah, he wasn't he?
They kind of got they got Rock, they got Taker, they got, you know what I mean.
Yeah, they had guys
Stone
like,
Cold,
depending on the
Triple
eras
H.
in there and all that
Mankind was
stuff.
the one. He's the one main one in there that they
wasn't-
didn't go get.
Mm-hmm.
They got everybody else during that time frame, but
It's a lot of people.
maybe
Yeah.
they may have asked him and he declined. You know,
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's
They may-
true.
A lot of people though. Yeah.
Yeah. But man, and once again, you're just through that whole, just the creepiness of going back and seeing those clips of Vince with the female talent.
Oh yeah, that Trish Stratus stuff. I remember it being like
Yeah,
heavy,
that
but I
whole
don't remember
Trish
it being that
Stratus
heavy
stuff
though.
is
Yeah.
just-
That was in that time frame because, like I said, I stopped watching it in 03 and then picked back up when we were
Yeah.
08 or no.
Yeah.
So that 04 to 08 time frame, I wasn't really watching it, and that's when he was really into that fucking pervert shit, kiss
Yeah.
my ass in front of everybody,
He was a little too
blow
close
myself
to it.
up.
He was a little too close to his daughter.
Yeah,
Dude,
well, he had a
they talk
storyline.
about
They
that
talked
too.
about how
I've always known about that too.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised they mentioned that.
And she didn't even want to tell him what.
yeah, I've heard about it. I was surprised.
And he wanted to
like,
do their
yeah.
her and
That's weird, man.
Hunter's wedding on a
Yeah.
pay per view.
I didn't ever know about that.
I didn't
so.
either. That
But,
he
but
legit-
Vince telling the storyline that they threw out about her being
Yeah, that's-
pregnant by him,
yeah,
I'm like,
that's-
what in
that's-
the fuck?
that's-
it's just straight face. He's like and laughs it off like
That
it's
is
nothing.
the absolute grossest thing I've ever heard
he's
in my
heartless,
life.
bro.
Man.
He has no soul.
Dude,
I
that's
mean,
disgusting.
Allegedly,
No,
allegedly, has no
Allegedly.
soul.
But,
That dude is.
I think a lot of the stuff that was done in the Attitude Era, and even before, like with the Iron Sheik and all, they talked about all that, and it being like you
Time
can't.
placement.
But Vince did say something that's true. Like you can't look at something today that happened 25 years ago.
Oh, no,
and
'cause that's
judge it
stuff
with
that we say and
today's
do.
Yeah.
with today's
Yeah,
standards.
right.
Not saying
That's
that
true.
But
He's
it,
talking-
it wasn't.
he's
it
talking
wasn't
about a business-
dumb.
he's
But
talking about-
incest, it
Yeah,
never right.
But he's talking
Incest,
about he's talking about his
racism,
personal
Yeah.
life.
messing with little kids. There's no time on that. That's
Yeah.
disgusting.
Well, he was talking
Yeah.
about his personal life as well. He's like, that's in the past. It's just you can't worry
That's
about
what
that.
people that do. That's what fucking sociopaths say.
Yeah, he's just
That's
full
what they
fledged,
say, bro. Oh, that's
full fledged.
Facts.
That was nuts. Allegedly, that's 20 years ago.
Facts.
Who cares that I dated that 14-year-old boy? But yeah, the last episode, the finish,
Yep.
basically just put a bow on everything, and then it started to talk about
The last 15 minutes of the whole documentary.
yeah,
is-
6-hour documentary, and the 5 hours and 45 minutes of it don't talk about current stuff. And I get it because they filmed all of it before.
Yeah,
And I guarantee you, Netflix is going to do some kind of updated.
They're gonna
Two
have
episodes.
to.
they have
They're
to.
gonna just
Especially
like they
if
did.
Vince
They're doing with
puts-
the Nickelodeon.
Yeah,
stuff.
if
They're doing the same
Vince
thing.
makes a rebuttal to it, yeah.
But
yeah,
will
they're gonna-
they?
I think they will.
He put
Netflix
out
bought WWE Raw. I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
like, would you? That's the weird thing to overlap. I
Well,
know
but
true.
if you said he ain't got no part in it, maybe they. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true too. I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll see.
Yeah, but
But the whole-
which we've spoke about it briefly on episodes. It was no
The lawsuit.
Nothing that we haven't already talked about really.
James Laurinaitis is not mentioned at all during the
documentary.
John Laurinaitis.
John Laurinaitis.
John
That's true.
Laurinaitis is not mentioned
That's true.
at all during the whole documentary.
That's true.
His name is not even brought up.
That's true.
You get a little video clip of one little video clip of him walking by. That's it.
That is true.
And
Well,
he's all up in that lawsuit.
That's so true.
Was Brock Lesnar?
He was mentioned.
Was
They
he mentioned?
put
was
yeah,
mentioned.
they mentioned that in the little.
They
in the
start
liner
to not
notes.
mention, and then
Yeah.
then right after that they
say his
Brock
name.
Lesnar. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
But
we
that's
shall see.
the whole Laurinaitis. That's what one thing I thought was when it's wrapping up and like you're not mentioning anything about the other guy mentioned in the lawsuit that was literally doing the same things Vince was doing.
Is he still in W? He's definitely
No.
No. He's gone.
Why did they leave him out?
I don't know. It's a good point.
Yeah,
They made sure to put Lesnar in it, and he just was.
Well,
he was.
Laurinaitis more
that
involved?
female situation, the pictures were going to Brock.
Yeah,
That's why.
yeah. He was part. She
He
was part
commented
of
on the
him
pictures,
re-signing.
and I like
He was
what I
part of
see.
re-signing. She
Yeah.
was part of the
Yes.
deal of him
She was the
re-signing.
bargaining
Yeah,
chip.
yeah. So that's the main icing of the whole.
Yeah,
And
But Laurinaitis was in the same room as Vince when everything was going on.
And once again,
Allegedly.
nobody had a problem with it until the money stopped rolling in.
But did the money really stop rolling in though?
Yep, once she broke the agreement and started talking, Vince quit sending her money, and then even more came out. Not saying it's not.
Why
that
was he
it
sending their
didn't
money? Why was he
happen
sending their
and
money,
that it's-
Chance?
Huh?
Why was he sending their money?
I mean, he was sending her money to keep her quiet
Keeping it quiet from what?
from all the stuff that happened.
Because so it's not allegedly. The son of a bitch is a piece of shit. Exactly.
God damn, Chance, are you on his legal
Exactly.
team? Look,
Allegedly.
I love that it's a different side, but it ain't gonna work on me.
No.
Not today. Not today.
it's easy to say. It's easy to say. Now, you said it earlier when you were talking about, well, if they didn't like what they were doing, they could have just went somewhere else. They're grown men.
Yeah.
I understand that.
And she could too. She was 30 years old.
Okay.
30 plus. Not
Yeah, but when she
18.
was
But you don't know what all he was saying to her. What if he was saying, you'll never work in this business again. I'll blackball you.
Yeah, from
this,
the
that, and the third.
entertainment business.
Like, and then she goes in, she knows he's got more money than her.
Yeah.
So it's like
Well,
the-
he had a certain. He preyed on.
yeah,
a
that
certain
I, don't,
style-
I ain't gonna let you slide with that one. The
certain style women.
the steroid shit or the not having the insurance, I get that because
you-
it's grown men.
You could put any threat that you want to me, and you ain't taking a dump on my head. I don't care what you tell me.
For sure.
now that
I agree.
I'm wondering if she knew the dump was coming.
That's
or
just
if
so
that
weird.
was in the moment.
That is so
I'm gonna
weird.
take a dump on
Yeah.
this slut. Or something. That's what he did, or
That's
whatever.
a
Allegedly,
perfect,
both of them
impression
did.
right there. That was actually
If
pretty
they
awesome.
if they did a back-to-back dump, like a double decker situation, shout out to High Chews. They're sponsoring this episode.
Yeah, especially after all that Ico Pro you took before you took the dump.
I'm just gonna say this: everything that has been alleged against Vince McMahon, I can 100% see it happening.
Oh yeah.
Everything that's
There you
been
go.
that he's had
Sure.
alleged that he's done, I can see it happening.
100% agree.
Yeah. Yeah. He's and
But I don't think that anything that's happened in the wrestling industry hasn't happened in the music industry, the movie industry, the
Oh, it
NFL,
happens in all-
the NBA,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
every other
Lots worse.
yeah,
Well,
every
I mean-
other major entertainment or sporting platform.
And there are being documentaries made
Yep.
about this stuff too.
And it doesn't make it any
Hashtag
less
no
wrong
Diddy.
Yeah.
or any less. It doesn't make it any less wrong.
A lot of y'all's
what
other
happened.
favorite rappers are fixing to go down.
oh,
Yep.
dude, it's if he makes it, yeah,
It don't matter if he makes it or not. They're still gonna go after everybody else.
But
I hope so.
and I'm interested to see how all this is going to play
Me
out
too.
and what
Yeah.
will happen, and if Vince will once again
Make
get
his way
away
back.
with it.
Do you think he'll ever come?
No,
do you-
WWE no.
He's not going to be.
He'll start his own shit.
Yeah,
maybe.
the wrestling industry. He's going to be like how Chris Benoit. Like there's not going to be much mention of him
It's
in
just
a
hard not to
positive
with
light.
him to
Yep.
tease the entire
Yep.
everything.
And that's another thing we skipped over that the whole concussion thing where
Yeah.
they were
Chris
just,
Nowinski and stuff. You know.
they were just like, no, concussions don't happen because it's scripted. They don't really hit each other. Concussions
Well,
don't happen.
all that shit is just pure denial tactics.
Yeah.
But the thing that I'll say this, and this is one of my favorite fucking people in this wrestling. Stone Cold's not believing in CTE is wild.
yeah,
to me.
that's crazy to me.
It is wild that he even says like
He had to
you're
have-
not doing something right if you keep getting concussions. I'm like, bruh,
You
Stone
got a
Cold,
concussion
I
on.
love you, dog.
You
You're
got one
smart.
on. Owen Hart accidentally gave you one.
and yeah, but he said, well, Owen didn't do it right. Okay, well,
That happens.
but that doesn't mean even if you're not doing something right, you're getting concussions.
But-
that's going to deteriorate your brain. Bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Exactly. I agree.
Saying that you're not a CTE guy, that just tripped me all the way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold off on my opinions about Austin too, because we were probably getting low on time. But I've got a controversial thought about him too on that. But I can say it if you want. But
Well, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, throw it out there.
I mean, since we're getting technical, he's a piece of shit too, because the way he treated Deborah, and that was true. He beat on that woman, and people glance over that.
I didn't even
he's
know-
everybody's hero.
I didn't
He's
know
everybody's
that.
hero.
I didn't know
Oh,
that.
He got arrested.
Yes,
He got arrested
yes.
for domestic assault.
Yeah,
I guess.
he beat
I
that
don't-
woman.
I don't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line. You're a piece of shit too. It used to
Yeah.
be my dude, but I've been watching some stuff lately, and that's why you're so shut.
He beat the hell out of her.
Yeah.
How did that get covered
Because
up?
this is wrestling, and it's
He
what
got-
they do.
and
It's
all of a
weird-
sudden-
it's a weird sport.
Because you know, like,
it's
when
weird.
he
And
popped
dude
off
had,
right after
like,
Deborah-
roid
after-
rage
after-
and stuff, man.
Yeah, after
He was-
Deborah left,
yeah.
after him and Deborah
Yeah.
split up, and she was valet. That's when he and then everything just disappeared.
And it's-
When did he do it, though, is what
This
I'm
was
saying.
all when
Like
around
94, 95?
No. This
Nah,
was
it's
when this
late-
was
like
like
During the Stone
2000s.
Cold?
Oh, okay. Oh, yes. Yeah, later.
Early
when she was in-
2000s.
yeah. He did the right thing at the end of it, and they are friends now. Him and Deborah are cool. He's apologized. He doesn't deny it, but it happened, and people glance over it. He beat that woman, treated that woman like shit. He has been very remorseful. He has apologized multiple times. They are friends who are on talking agreements to this day. They are cool. He's remarried. She's moved on. So I will give him that. People make mistakes, but people do glance over that shit.
I didn't even
think
know,
that
but that's how crazy that is.
And my opinion is he tried to, and he's kind of being real because the internet is undefeated today. And if they really wanted to dig deep with him too, you could do an entire documentary on him too, which probably will happen one day anyway.
Yeah.
And then you got Macho and Pancho, his cats. I follow him on Instagram still.
I love him still, but it's just like,
I didn't even know that. That's crazy. As much
the
as I-
industry's jacked up, and the ringleader of it all is the weirdest dude that ever walked planet Earth.
Facts.
Vince McMahon.
The bow on it.
Alleged-
Oh,
Allegedly.
shit. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Quote of the day.
All right, this has been a long ass episode. I don't know how long it was, but it needed to
We
be
covered
done.
it.
Yeah,
We did
be
it. We
covered.
did it, boys.
Yeah. Put a
did it.
chef's kiss on that. There you
Yeah.
go.
Peace, de resistance, and we got this motherfucker.
Well, before we leave, let's
sorry.
at least thank the sponsors.
Okay.
Trouble Spirits,
Little hate
Revolution
myself.
One Media, all the wrestlers. Y'all be sure to subscribe to the channel.
We're right there knocking on 900 door.
Knocking
900.
on 900. All right, go ahead, Tony.
We out this motherfucker.
Over